Welcome to Charlie 27 and the awareness campaign, one that affects every woman in America, and of course, the men who love and care about them. My name is Ulysses Clay Jr., CEO of the UCJ Group and Charlie 27. Up next, are you still holding on to people and the anger they trigger you should have let go of a long time ago? That's up next, and we're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. All right. Welcome back to Charlie 27 in the awareness campaign. The question of the day is, are you still holding on to people and the anger they trigger you should have let go of a long time ago? So a lot of times, or I should say oftentimes, as people, we hang on longer than we should to people. And there's several reasons for that, because sometimes it's people that are closest to you that you just can't let go, i.e. a family member or a long time friend, somebody maybe perhaps you grew up with, someone that you just really can't see yourself separating from, even short term. It doesn't have to be long term, and it doesn't have to be this abrupt, I should say, or separation. Whereas it can be one that was messy. But I believe, and I'm not the expert on this at all. I just happened to see an article that kind of addresses some of these issues that I've experienced myself, and holding on to shit I shouldn't be holding on to, or people for a long time that was not good for me. People that, I had to come to the conclusion that if I'm going to have some type of normalcy or the quality of life that I want, that's what I'm looking for, and have a mental capacity to be able to enjoy that life, I had to do something different. I had to make a change. I had to it could not be business as usual when it came to certain relationships. And I just wanted to just pose the question today, because I know so many people that are struggling with this idea, right? And the fact that these people, you try to avoid them, and you do. You see them calling, but you don't pick up the phone. Can anybody relate to that, right? And it may be, like I said, a best friend. It could be a family member. It doesn't matter, But that does not serve you, right? That does not help you. And what's bad about that is it triggers certain emotions, those emotions of anger, resentment. Perhaps maybe something happened, 10 years ago, right? I know people who hang on to stuff forever, men and women. I may say something. My goal is to never to offend anyone, but this God has given me charge for this platform to do it without fault and our reluctancy. Cause I'm private, very private, but I'm transparent when I need to be as well. But it's certain people and certain things that may have happened in your life with certain people, right? And you did not that was not resolved. At least the other person perhaps maybe thought it was, but within yourself, it was not resolved because the person that you are, right, or used to be, let me just use that, would have handled it a different way, another way, and it wouldn't have been pretty, right? But seeing you took the high road, right, and you handled it in your mind a way that was mature, as a mature adult, as you should have, but yet you still feel a little something when they're around. You still feel a little something that maybe is said, that they may say or do or something. There's certain things that triggers. It's triggers. You know, we all have to deal with triggers from past relationship, maybe going through a divorce, or just a past relationship, be it male or female, and certain things that just triggers. Hell, there may be a song, a song that will trigger that certain emotion in oneself, right? And this is something that I personally had to deal with all of that. Thank God I'm free, you know. Well, let me step back. I'm not totally free. Like I said, I'm going to always be open, honest, and transparent. I'm not totally free of that. I'm still working on that part of my life as well. But, it's 99% done because I had to grow. I had to grow. And I had to understand that I'm going to have a better life, better quality of life, and have it, the abundance of life, which God has promised me, right? For me and my family, my kids, my grandkiddos, to be passed down through generations. See, one thing that we can do, we can break the generational curse, but you can also break the generational blessing. I do believe that. Personally, I believe that. You can break the generational blessings as well. And that's something that I refuse to do. I am not going to do it. That's why that last thing, I'm working on that, and we're gonna conquer that thing. I promise you that, right? As small and as it is, it's something. It's the little things, right? It's the little foxes that destroy the vines, right? We've all heard that, right? Forever. But it's true. There's these little things that may trigger, like I said, that emotion. But we have to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that we take personal inventory of our lives. All aspects of our lives. Our mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial as well. We have to take inventory. And we're going to see that, obviously, and that's going to always show up that when we look at the balance sheet, we're going to say, man, we got some shit to work on. We're not a perfect person, and we will never be, I submit to you. But we still have, as long as God has given us breath and given us life, we still have an opportunity, another day, I should say, to get it right. But we have to work on it. We just can't sit back and say, okay, it'll happen, right? It's not going to happen unless you or I make it happen. We have to make it happen. But see, the thing about it, we have to take full responsibility for it. I really got this a long time ago, and I started taking full responsibility for everything that happened in my life, probably about 5 years ago. I heard a good friend of mine, I heard her say that. She was on Facebook Live, and she said that. And shout out AB. And that was the most powerful thing she said, because I know it's true. She said, I take full responsibility for everything that happened in my life. See, one thing I know, and I heard a gentleman, a mentor of mine from afar, said that he adopted that same principle, right? But one thing, he took it a step further. He said the reason why is because it's easier, a lot easier, play offense than defense. And I had to ponder that. Because I'm like, wow, that's powerful. It's a lot easier to play offense than defense. How many people you know that's always on the defensive? Always, right? You know, that can get your blood boiling, okay? Always on the defensive, always playing, always the victim, right? Right? That there is not good for anybody. See, it's one thing in being, it's nothing wrong with being mad or having a sense of, pissed off in. Don't check me. That's not a word, I don't think. Just a long-term relationship that perhaps maybe was toxic at some point. It didn't start out that way, obviously, but it ended up that way, and you just don't know how you got there, and more importantly, how you remained. See, sometimes we we find ourselves in those types of situations, and because we spend a lot of time and energy, guess what? Trying to fix them. No one can fix themselves but themselves, right? It's not your responsibility to fix me, nor is it mine to fix you. We have to be willing to do the work. Hashtag Ivana Van Zet. We have to be able to do the work ourselves. If we don't do the work ourselves, the work's not going to get done. And we're going to end up being, unfortunately, like a lot of people who go through life and they clock out at the end of it miserable. They leave angry. They leave with unresolved issues and relationships and personal or business perhaps. It doesn't matter. You have to be, and I have to be able to grow to be able to change what we don't like about ourselves and our situation. We are the only ones can change it. Nobody else's responsibility but ours. That said, stay tuned. We'll be right back. So let me give you the 5 signs you're holding on to anger and how to let go. See, in our culture, we often demonize anger. We tend to equate it with flying off the handle and being irrational, as well as emotional, and sometimes even physical, violent, right? As a result, many of us feel afraid of expressing our anger. But the truth is, anger is nothing to be ashamed of. It's natural, and sometimes it's necessary in that it wakes us up to the things in our lives that we are no longer, that are no longer serving us, okay? Problems, both in terms of our emotional and physical health, can occur when we hold on to anger, right? When we don't allow ourselves to examine it and get to the bottom of why we feel that way. And sometimes we get so good at bottling our anger up that we don't even realize we're doing it. Well, how do you know if this is the case for you? Here are some signs to look for, as well as some steps you can take to let go of the anger. Number 1, depression. While it's not the case every time, often feelings of depression can go hand in hand with feelings of anger. If there's a circumstance in your life that's causing you to be angry, but you feel powerless to change it, yeah, that means you're carrying around the anger every day with seemingly no way to release it. It's easy to see how this could be led to depression. If you're concerned that you may have depression, it's a good idea to consult with a mental health professional. And there's totally nothing wrong with that. Number 2, being triggered by little things. Wow. This one is a classic. See, if little annoyances, right, can upset you more than you think they should, it's probably because your irritation isn't about that small annoyance. It's about something larger than you haven't been able to address yet. And when you are holding on to those unresolved feelings, small infractions will often play into your, existing narrative and reinforce your anger. Number 3, feeling stuck. Whether it's a personal or professional relationship, if you feel like you're in a constant state of limbo with the other person, it might be because you're holding on to anger. You're not telling them you're angry, so there's no arguing, on one hand, but on the other hand, there's no progress either. See, this can cause you to feel like you're stuck in a holding pattern. Why? And that doesn't serve you either. Number 4, cutting yourself off. See, sometimes unresolved anger can cause you to want to cut yourself off from the person or people you feel angry at. This can be a problem, particularly if those people are loved ones. Family. Yeah. See, if you find yourself avoiding or drifting away from specific people, ask yourself why. It may be that it feels easier to avoid them than to maintain a relationship, in which case you'll likely have to address your anger. But over the long term, being honest about your feelings will be much more constructive. Number 5, you keep telling the same stories. Been there, done that, right? Of course, it's going to, it's good, I should say. It's a good thing to try to make sense of what we're experiencing. And many of us do this through stories. But if you find yourself telling the same stories about how your partner wrongs you or how awful your boss is over a lengthy period of time, it's probably a sign that you are holding on to anger that hasn't been dealt with yet. See, we all need to vent, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But if you are venting about the same things time and time again, that's likely something you want to look into a little bit deeper. So if these signs sound familiar to you, what can you do to let go of the anger so that you can move on? Here's a few helpful steps that we found, that I personally have found even in my life. Stop guilt tripping yourself. That's number 1. Stop guilt tripping yourself, man. See, as mentioned earlier, we live in a culture that demonizes anger. As a result, many of us feel like, there's something wrong with us if we're holding on to anger. See, we feel like we should be nicer people, right? And feeling this way means we have a bad temper. As a result, we hide our anger even from ourselves. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with being angry. Give yourself permission to truly feel your emotions. Number two, empower yourself. For many of us, the source of our anger can be the feelings that we've been victimized or wronged in some way. And this can be, completely true. And it might genuinely be the case that the other person acted wrongly and that hurt us, for no reason. But continuing to let that person have power over you will only keep you stuck. And that's crazy, my friend. So you didn't have control over what they did, but you certainly, absolutely do have control over how you react. See, if it's a toxic relationship or a workplace where you are continuing to be victimized, it's better to leave than to stay and remain angry. Or if there are steps you want to take to address the feelings and repair the relationship, know that it's in your power, I should say, to do so. And that's something that, we come to a point and we all have to deal with. See, often we bottle up our anger out of desire to keep the peace. And that's a freaking joke. But this never works out well, as it often leads to resentment. See, allow yourself to express what you feel. This doesn't mean shouting or accusing. There is a respectful way to have a conversation in which you let the other person know you feel anger. And it's important to do so. Otherwise, the relationship would continue to operate based on false pretenses. Again, number three, forgive. See, there is a time when this is appropriate, and that time might not be right away. Allow yourself to truly feel this and express your anger first and foremost. That's first. See, if you try to jump right into forgiveness and skip the process of really honoring what you are feeling, then forgiveness becomes just another way to sweep your feelings under the rug. That said, once enough time has passed away and you allow yourself to process your feelings, forgiveness will be, very powerful, actually. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting the other person off the hook, no, if they wrong you. It doesn't mean you are saying everything that happened is okay. It simply means you acknowledge what happened. You're just not going to continue carrying it with you. Okay, you're not going to let it keep you stuck. See, it really is the most powerful way to let go of anger. It really is. And with that being said, my friends, I hope that helped you. I hope you were empowered by that, because I certainly was. I learned this 15, 20 years ago. And as I said before, some of the most influential people in my life I had to deal with, because these were people, i.e. family members, that I love, I care about, I respected, and still to this day. But I had to separate relationships that did not serve me because they were toxic. And you have to do the same exact thing. Toxic relationships will not serve you in any capacity. Once you understand that, and you can really reposition and refocus, what's really important in your life, then you could move on, as did I, and be able to have success, at least in that particular area, which will be reflective, and will enable you to have success in other areas of relationship, i.e. a business or personal, right? So I'm going to leave you with that. My time is well up, and I just appreciate everyone who tuned in to this podcast. On behalf of myself and Charlie 27, my baby, who passed away 9 years ago, and her foundation is the reason why we're doing this. If you want to know more about Charlie 27, or the reason and how she passed away, please go to charlie27.com. That's CHARLE27.com, and see the awareness campaign and how we disseminate some information that affected her and affects every woman in America. And then go check out on the same station, anchor.fm/Charlie27, and check out her story, so you can hear her story as well if you haven't already. My name is Ulysses Clay Jr., and I appreciate everyone who take time out of your day just to listen to what we are saying, what we're offering. Our goal and our mission is to touch 100 million lives, 100 million in the next 10 years or less. How are we going to do that? We're going to touch 1 million who touch 100. And you are empowered to help us in that endeavor. And I thank you for that. Do your part. Share this with 100 people. Right? Because if you do, that's going to help us get there even quicker, like I said. Again, I thank you. I salute you. I'm Ulysses Clay Jr. Good night. God bless you.